Hey, it's Chris, Liege Games. Let's do this. You know, the big splashy ending of Zombicide hitting over 9 million, the big splashy ending of Final Girl hitting over 2 million. So I got one over under right and one over under wrong. But the point is that the money is freely flowing in case you missed it. And not a whole lot may have caught your eye from this past week beyond sort of the bigger players. But I will tell you, 3 or 4 of the games that are coming out this week are very, very, very solid. And they may not be $1 million campaigns, but they're going to have traction. And I think they're good games to be seriously considering because we have quite the variety as well, too, contained in these games. As always, if you want to know more, if you want to watch this on a weekly basis of what games are coming out in the next week, smash that subscribe button. Help me hit 5K. I also have a Patreon exclusive behind the scenes thoughts on what's coming up, what's out there, especially on the crowdfunding side of things. Help me figure out my 10x10 that I'm going to do this year as well. Because it's fun to do. Apart from that, yeah, I have my best games of 2021 that I played that were new to me, that were non-2021 games coming out this week as well, this following week. I am also, full disclaimer, Kingdoms Forlorn is going to be coming out hopefully sometime this week as well. And I'm going to be trying to do more gameplay videos so that you guys can get a sense of the gameplay. They may not be like Rado runs through 3/4 of the game or Tantrum House gives you a little overview, but I'm going to try to do my best and I'm going to try and increase my production style and my methods and things like that. So if anyone else has any tips from the methods or the production side of things, I'm open to ears. But otherwise, I'm going to finagle it and make it work for you guys regardless. Interested? Sound good? Let's do this. Go right into it, baby. Enough opening ramble. So, nothing like almost completely forgetting one of your most anticipated games of the month, right? Not like you have to splice it in or anything, but we're talking Astro Knights, the re-implementation of Aeon's End. Full disclaimer, big fan of Aeon's End. Now, this is from Indie Boarding Cards, and so we're going to see what is different. The forum section already goes into a little bit of the details in terms of what's different. The main 2 aspects being the bosses and the market. The bosses are going to have their own unique deck. There are no basic cards that kind of go. They're all going to be different sizes. They're all going to be different asymmetric bosses. And so it's, again, trying to take a streamlined approach to Aeon's End in a different aspect as well. So again, with the biggest question being raised, you know, if you're trying to streamline something, are you going to make the other one obsolete? And I think the answer is probably no, but you may prefer one or the other. Your mileage may vary, obviously. Now, the other different aspect they say is the trade market, if you will, where it's going to be more random. It's going to be more putting stuff out, being able to buy what's out there, or being able to help you cycle through. There are going to be cards that are going to allow you to do such a thing. There are going to be 6 different market decks with varying degrees of expense. So with Aeon's End and things like that, you will still have, you know, your cheaper gem, your more expensive gem, your cheaper spell upgrade, you know, relic, whatever it may be, and maybe your more expensive one. So maybe 2 of each of those different abilities, upgrades, relics that you've seen. And this game is also going to have the mechanic to upgrade your hero in the first place. So as they say on the forums, this is the implementation that they have spent learning from the original Aeon's End and, you know, trying to make another better but also different product for people that have some of those criticisms on Aeon's End in the first place, with some of the randomization, some of the just, you know, put togetherness, some of the overhead in terms of those things. So it's launching on the 8th. I will be backing. Will you? Check it out. Launching on the 10th. So a little bit out of chronological order here, but I mean, this is the ones of most interest to me First, Deep Rock Galactic, based on the video game in the first place, where you are dwarves mining, exploring this huge, massive planet asteroid thing, and trying to get resources and trying to stay alive, obviously, at the same time. Now, they've already said it's going to be miniature based, and the question, again, is going to be price point, because these look pretty freaking sweet, actually, but you can see sort of the hex-based die rolling as well. And so how do you incorporate what made it successful on the video game side of things on the tabletop? And that is always the big question and concern, especially like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, with all of this stuff, money flowing elsewhere. Do you have enough money to get something like this? Now, my big concern there is just looking at this picture right now. Those are awful small hexes, and they only support one miniature. So is that a mechanic that you're going to need to worry about? Is that a mechanic that's going to be part of it? I have no idea. And I guess if you go over to their page here, does fighting alien insects on an asteroid while collecting ores and minerals, does that sound interesting to you or not? Is that going to be an encapsulating theme? For some people, yeah, absolutely. But if you're not a fan of the video game in the first place, is this going to pass the smell test? Is this going to pass the eye test? Is it going to attract people just on the sheer premise alone? I don't know. That would be another question that I have, because it sort of reminds me a little bit more in the same way of Green Hell, the other board game, video game based IP that sort of had to do a relaunch last year because it was sort of the dungeon crawl version of Robinson Crusoe. And first time around, they just didn't quite connect with people in terms of what people wanted out of it and what ended up happening. And I mean, they successfully funded the second time, I think, for easily 6 digits. But again, it raises questions of what is this going to look like. Now, the interesting aspect here is that this is co-op. And I like the fact that this is co-op. This makes me more interested. It reminds me more of aesthetically, but also mechanically when I hear that. Again, not totally mechanically, of course, but Project Elite, right? Where you are a team, you are fighting off said alien insect creatures, and you are on a dungeon crawl-esque board. So, again, price point, number of expansions. There's a reason I told you not to upgrade for the all-in for Marvel Zombies, so you can save money for this, because you can always put more money in the Pledge Manager or the other one. So, this stuff, though, that's why I do it. So, this is launching on the 10th. Next up, we are going back to the 8th. This was one of my more anticipated games of this month as well, so 2 in a row here. Floating Floors, Guff Studios. This is a really, really intriguing concept. I have a hands-on prototype here, folks. This is not going to be everyone's ilk, but if ninjas and balancing and dexterity, like if Animal Upon Animal was too kid for you, this one is the adult grown-up version, actually made super hard too. It's difficult. You have to put pieces underneath. You have to balance. You have to remember what pieces are where underneath, because if you put your guy in the wrong space, then the thing tips over and you take a penalty, and you're trying to make your guy to these little chakra points so that you can collect them all before the other team or the other person. It's small, it's portable, it works, aesthetically pleasing. It just does a great job. It has fantastic table presence. I think they said the boards might be a little bit different in terms of what the final ones look like, but this is a game, a dexterity game that you could bring with you to a restaurant to easily carry alongside many other games, which is the downside of a lot of other dexterity games that I really enjoy. So again, this one, I will tell you right now, this one has my endorsement if you're looking at it. This is solid, this is fun, it's difficult, it's a challenge. I would probably lean more towards the 2-player, but you could easily do teams without much difficulty. It's just alternating then on the same team. So Floating Floors, it'll be launching on the 8th. Also launching on the 8th is Rolling Heights from AEG. Again, it's sort of been presented so far, at least hype-wise or media-wise, at least my impression of it has been like Cubitos as a different role, if you will, from that appeal. A different sort of press your luck, only pressing your luck in terms of how high you can build buildings and how much resources you can get before not being able to get them any further. And so I don't know what to expect. Obviously, it looks like you can cap some of these buildings, top some of these buildings off, and so maybe a little press your luck there too. And grid-based somehow. I think Board Game Co. has had his video out there for like almost a month of, review and stuff, everything. So his video is out there already prior to launch if you really want to check it out. Again, this is one I could see myself going either way on. I'm not really sure how I feel about Cubitos in the first place. It's sort of the dice version of Quacks, and I like Quacks, and Cubitos I'm a little bit torn on right now. And if this is another one of those, do I really need another one of those? Because they occupy somewhat of a similar niche in my mind, and also my collection. And so I don't know. And again, AEG, with the last game that I was interested in from them, Meeples and Monsters, they offered an expansion. And so they did not offer exclusives necessarily, but they offered a better price point, an expansion included, and it was a really good price point actually. So I would imagine if they stay true to form, you're going to see something similar along those lines with the campaign, but I wouldn't mind being surprised either a little bit, but you know, better price or slightly earlier, I'll take it too. So Rolling Heights launching on the 8th. Now we're going to stay on the 8th here, and this one, again, is going to be sort of similar to Floating Floors, but this is Iron Forest. If you don't know Iron Forest, well, that's fine. You don't need to know Iron Forest, but you probably know the game that is being referenced in the upper right-hand corner of this box, Ice Cool, the dexterity, the sort of penguin-esque flicking where you're going through the doors. And if this doesn't tell you all you need to know, well, it should pretty much tell you all you need to know. I'm going to tell you anyway, though. This is like a multi-level Ice Cool. And there's Take That. It's like Worms Armageddon almost, if that makes sense, if you get that reference. There are objectives, it's controlling areas, it's knocking out the other team. It is a team-based, two teams going head to head. And clearly, you have some abilities. Clearly, you have some asymmetry there as well. And again, I like the idea of these games. I have some finger issues mechanically when it comes to flicking, so my flicking games have to be very limited. But that's probably the biggest barrier to this, because otherwise I think this is something distinctly different. It reminds me more along the lines of spin-offs like Catacombs, which are taking the classical dexterity flicking that we are used to and putting a different aspect to them. And I think this is doing that in a unique way. The big question, obviously, again, is going to be price point. Because when you're looking at something 3D like this, the 3D stuff tends to be pricier, period. And so it'll be interesting to see how much comes with this, what is included, are there going to be like an expansion for a third faction? That's the sort of stuff I could see happening. And so, again, do you like this thing? Or, just like with Floating Floors, dexterity, immediately, not for me. All in all, though, I'm really excited because we haven't seen a lot of interesting, mechanically nuanced or unique, especially dexterity games recently, apart from like Flick of Faith. So I love the fact that this is getting out there, because what this does is it breeds ingenuity later on. This is launching on the 8th. Now, the next one on the 7th, I've had my eye on for a while. If you're familiar with Unfair, Unfair is getting an expansion, another expansion. If you're not familiar with this semi-take that card drafting, set collection, park building game, well, you should be. Now, there's a whole separate version, Funfair, where you can play it where there is not really any take that, but, you know, who doesn't love a good chaos? Who doesn't love some good chaos thrown in the mix, especially messing with other people? Me, personally, that is my ilk. And so it's terrible that I have not actually tried or owned this game yet at this point. But they are offering this new expansion with Comicbook, Hacker, Kaiju, and Ocean. Meaning you're taking several of these decks in every game and you're combining them to make that the market, if you will. And then drafting, buying them in that way. So how can you combine them? What cool combos can you make? How can you disrupt other people's? I'm going to be heavily looking at this one because, again, I can't believe that I actually don't have this. And so, especially as this seems like something that would scream Liege of Games all over it, I'm going to be heavily looking at this one because I just am seriously considering it. And now, again, I know people were sort of turned off by the Take That, especially when it came out, and even to this day. I mean, it's the whole reason you made a whole nother game without it. But if it's easy to get and it's easy to get to the table, I mean, again, criteria that fit me, the question just is, does it fit you? Because everything I've heard, especially from Jeremy Howard, who's been shouting at the rooftops whenever it's been mentioned in his presence online, that he's loving it. So I'm intrigued to see what this has, and I guess this also has solo as well. So take that for what you will. If it offers a good bundle, I might be seriously interested. Or I might just go over here to the geek market, buy one here, and go back and get me an expansion for later. We'll see on the 7th. Last up here on the 8th, we have a very interesting entry from Renegade Game Studios. Wreckland Run, where this is a campaign solo game, post-apocalyptic, Mad Max style adventure, where you are collecting resources, fighting off bad guys, and trying to progress through the wastelands. New options, new challenges in each campaign or chapter, and a mix of drivers and cars that you can have vehicular carnage with, so that the replayability is there even after you finish it the first time. There's not a whole lot of info on Board Game Geek right now. The only video for it out there is a Man vs. Meeple preview video, and so we're going to have to kind of wait and see, but especially if you're one of those soloers who maybe didn't get all of Final Girl or wants a little bit more control of their playstyle, this might be something up your ilk, and it might be something worth investigating when it launches on the 8th. So if you're interested, give it a look-see. There you go. So, over-under for this past week. Well, I screwed up the whole date on Title Blades, so that was clearly a bust. One of you guys in the comment section, not going to say who, astutely said, well, maybe you could just trade out Title Blades for Hand-to-Hand Wombat for all of you keeping in. And Hand-to-Hand Wombat might actually be close to that 500K, so we could easily do that. The committee would allow. But the other two prop bets that I had were Final Girl Series 2 over under 2 million. You can see right here that it broke 2 million easily. And the other prop bet was Marvel Zombies, whether or not it was going to break 7.65. Well, for some reason, this is the biggest 48-hour rush in terms of even percentage I have seen increase in the last like 6 to 8 to even maybe a year. And so they broke 9 million actually, which is shocking to me. And now I'm not going to speculate here, but I found it weird, and maybe this is the new marketing strategy where they're just going to load up the last day and a half to 2 days or 60 hours of expansion after expansion after expansion and cause people FOMO that way, because that's essentially what happened at the end here, which was a very interesting line to sort of watch zig and zag and go up and down. So I missed on one, got the other one though. The other prop bet, second to last one, was over under on Yucatan at $315,000 US. Well, this has 325,000 euros, so clearly the over is right there. And the over under on 2.5 games more than 100K being launched this week. Sorry for the voice crack there. Clearly I'm still going through puberty. We have Hand-to-Hand Wombat 1, Trekking Through History 2, Seas of Havoc 3. That's it right there. That's all you need to know. So it was over on that one as well. So what do we have for this week's prop bets? Let's talk. You know what? Let's do something here. Iron Forest versus Floating Floors. Which do you think is going to raise more money by the time this video airs the following week? Floating Floors or Iron Forest? Number one. We'll just make it real easy, real straightforward there. Don't even have to pick money numbers for me. Money numbers. Wow, this is a good video. I'm doing pretty good so far. Let's make number two. Let's go back to Deep Rock Galactic. Let's say, does this raise by the time this launches? Now, again, it's the 10th though. So we're talking, by the time this video airs, this video will only be slightly over or under 48 hours. So if this was reasonable, let's say 200,000, 200, no, let's go 250, 250,000 by the time this video airs. So like about less than 48 hours. So not like a ton, but we're going to see sort of that short time frame, what it can do. Let's do Rolling Heights. Let's just stick with everything new this week. Rolling Heights, over or under, let's say 75K. We'll make 75K for that one. And let's see what else we got going on. You know what? I like Collab. We haven't talked about it in a little bit. It's at $150,000. Does Collab break 205? 205,000 over or under? There you go. 5 quick, easy, dirty. I don't even know why I said dirty. You know what I meant though. Okay. That's what we got going on. Like I said, gonna have a little bit more gameplay soon. Gonna try and get some Kingdom Forlorn out. Gonna get some other stuff out. Patreon people will know a couple of the other things I got sitting next to me in terms of prototypes, because I got like 3 new prototypes this week as well of, well, no, 2 more prototypes plus 1 recent release game. So a lot of info going to be coming out about those in the near future as well. If you want to know what they are, let me know. And let's see, TV time. I have just been watching the zombie Korean flick drama on Netflix. I can't even remember the name right now. Oh yeah, that's right. All of Us Are Dead. Based on a manga, I guess. Basically, dad slash teacher slash former like bioengineer creates a virus and it mutates and infects the school, infects the whole city, and it's basically the story of the kids that are stuck in the school, and then all of a sudden, there's some other consequences that happen along the way. I'm not getting into too many spoilers. Then I got back into Expanse Season 4 as well. So I'm digging into that again. Again, like some of this stuff, you just got to be in the right mood to watch. So if it's just not the right time, it's just not the right situation, I just can't do it. So otherwise, there's not a whole lot else that's caught my eye recently. I've really been binging All of Us Are Dead because I think I'm on episode 7 or 8. And the episodes are hour long. So you've got like a 60 to 67 minute episode, and it, takes some time to get through, especially when I'm doing all the other game stuff as well. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's really short, really sweet from the TV time side of things this week and the roundup and everything else. So this is a short video this week. As always, let me know what else you want to see. If there's something else you want to see, if playthrough interests you, if it doesn't, let me know. Because again, I want to put stuff out there that people want to watch and that people will tune into. That versus, the 5 things. I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit hit or miss at times. I like it, but it doesn't always give the depth of the information that I feel like sometimes people are looking for. So, we'll see. Yeah, I need to get a second camera because like maneuvering this camera is a pain going back and forth. But I mean, cameras are expensive. Cameras are expensive because I don't really want to get like just like a webcam or use like my iPhone. I tried setting it up in the like OBS on my iPad. Just no, not gonna mess with it. I'm probably just gonna have to get a second camera. But really, what I need is I really need a new computer. This Mac that I'm using right now is kind of old, kind of doesn't have enough storage on it, and it kind of has a little bit of slow processing power. So I think that would increase my production side of things in terms of quality as well. Because the camera I have is good doing this right now that I'm speaking to. So. Getting a second camera would be nice, but then we're talking maybe even a second stand, like tripod, so it's not cheap. Yeah, that's it for the end ramble. Kid's going tubing, not sledding, but tubing this weekend in a celebration of his 8th birthday, and then having a small birthday for him. He's getting some Switch games, I think, because that's pretty much all he wants anyway, so. That's the latest obsession in the house. Whatever, it is what it is. Bouncing from Mario game to Mario game. Just got into Mario Galaxy because they got stuck on like the final boss in Bowser's Fury, or the one that goes with Bowser's Fury that I'm completely blanking on. Super Mario World. No, it's not Super Mario World 3D. That's a different one that we have that we rented. So one of them, that one. So yeah. Otherwise, I got nothing else. I haven't played Slay the Spire. I'm going through a little withdrawal there, but maybe some Xenoblades instead. But again, time commitment. I gotta get Kingdoms Forlorn. I gotta stop talking to you. I gotta go play some Kingdoms Forlorn. So that's all I got. See you around. Stay classy. Have a great day. Play some games this weekend. There you go.